Okay, so here's the first shot we're gonna work on. It's just J Rice here, and the idea is that he's just remembering or spending basically some time with his girlfriend, which she's being played by Diana Shelson. So the way I begin working on every shot is kind of similar in the way that at first I look for my angle and I don't worry too much about lighting. I always have it in the back of my head, but main concern is sort of at the framing, looking at the location, at the actors, sort of what angle is going to work best to tell that specific part of the story. And it's sort of like in my first ever tutorial that I uploaded to my YouTube channel. It's all about, it really comes down to designing the shot. So you can see me here just kind of walking around trying different angles with my Canon 7D. Then once I sort of decide on the angle that I'm going to work on, I know that I want to basically put in just a nice big soft light from the camera's point of view. So you see me there, just put that. That's my hardware light with the softbox that I bought on eBay. Then I double check the angle again. Then if you see me here, this is the how it looks still with the normal lighting there, and then I turn on the softbox. You see the difference right away. It just provides this kind of a nice frontal soft light. Then I put this other fluorescent hardware light there in the background, and I just have my brother there for now. We're just gonna hold it up in place just quickly, just to see whether that angle is even gonna work. And what that backlight does, it kind of creates this sort of a nice rim light here on the back of Jay's head there and his shoulder, and also provides this kind of a bluish kind of reflection of the shelves there in the kitchen, which just kind of makes the shot look a little more interesting, because the location itself didn't have that much color. And that's pretty much it for this shot. So this is the best really that I could achieve in that tight little space. And then the rest, I just have the actors sort of go through it, and as you can see, they're sometimes not the most comfortable with what they're supposed to do. There's no script, so I just kind of walk them through it as the shot goes on. So I just start rolling the camera, and I know that I just need these few little moments, where Jay approaches her, then maybe when he tries to kiss her on the neck, then I do a close-up of the exact same actions. Just change the lens out. Before I was on a 24 millimeter, and this is on a 50 millimeter f1.8. The other one was f2.8, and then I do a little, like, I pan down to show their hands, and this is all handheld, by the way, because I'm shooting in slow motion, so it's not going to be that shaky. Then the next shot, it's in that same apartment. It's Jay playing video games with his girlfriend, and so again, you see me just kind of try out the angle here, and this is sort of how more or less the angle that I decided on. Then I start putting on again that softbox, which just provides a nice sort of a soft frontal light, and I'm leaving that real light there on just to the right side of Jay, the practical light from the location. Then I put that other blue hardware light, fluorescent hardware light from behind, and that again acts as a backlight on them. And as you notice also, I end up adding this white blanket there, and the reason for the blanket is just simply because without the blanket I felt like the Diana's pants basically there were blending in too much with the black couch, and you couldn't see the fact that she's missing her leg, and that's supposed to be the big reveal that we see for the first time, that her leg has been amputated. Here's one of the performance shots that I was doing, also in the same location, and this one, it's a very limited small space, so I kind of decided that I can only do waist up, performance shots. I cannot go wider than that. So I hanged this sort of a blue material that I had, this fabric in the background to cover that window there in the kitchen. Then I put these beads. These are just these cheap little beads I bought at Walmart, plastic beads, and I put them up on onto the ceiling, and using a little gaffer's tape. And gaffer's tape is great because it's lets you, it's pretty strong, so it lets you attach things, like those beads, to walls and things like that at ceiling, but it doesn't leave any residue, and it won't ruin your walls basically. So you can see all those beads that are kind of hanging in behind the singer. And then I just put that one big softbox my hardware light softbox, and I put the 1K redhead, so 1000 watt redhead light that I showed you guys before. I have it shining in from behind there onto her left side, and I'm trying it out, and I see how it looks without the backlight. Then with it again, I put a blue gel also on that light to kind of give it a different tint, but I don't like how it looks, so I ended up moving those beads to the forward, basically in front of the singer, and now I'm readjusting that softbox again, and just putting another tiny little hardware light. This one's only like 100, I think, watts, just to shine just on those beads to kind of catch a little bit of extra reflection on those beads. And this is how that shot's starting to look. So I'm just trying out the angles. This is with the 50mm lens, so it's kind of cool because what it does, those beads, they happen to catch that backlight nicely, and because I throw them out of focus, you're not really sure what it is, but it just kind of adds this interesting element to the foreground of the shot, and it kind of matches what she's wearing, which is these kind of blue jeans with some jewelry attached to it. So those are the kind of things I keep in mind. And then this is me recording the take.
You believe in what I do, but I need your trust that we're gonna pull through. I'll be there.
And as you can see, this is the result that you get. And I end up trying out a few different framings. Sometimes I move closer to the beads, sometimes I move further away to get slightly different framing. And then I had another take where I had both Jay and Lydia in this shot, and this is it's a pretty neat looking shot. So and a very simple lighting, as you can see. So in this one only 3 lights, and really there's only 2 lights on the subject, so plus that tiny little hardware light on the beads there in the foreground. Then once we were done with that setup, I ended up removing those beads. And I also covered the blue material with the black fabric now. So basically I'm just getting nothing but black there behind Lydia. And I asked Jay there, simply because I didn't have anybody else to help me, to hold up that the hardware softbox right over, like in front of Lydia, and sort of right over her head. So it kind of creates this very soft shadow under her chin there and her nose. And this is how the shot looks. And this is me recording the take.
Just when I thought love was a lie, then you showed up in my life.
This is how the shot looks before the color corrections. And once we apply color correction, I know that background, that black fabric, is going to be completely pitch black. It's gonna have a cool dramatic look. And then I did the same sort of a shot with Jay. Let's move on to the next shot. For this performance shot, we decided to do it in a parking lot, and we don't have permission to film there. It's inside a condominium building, so we kind of just sneaked in there. This is me just trying out different angles with my 7D again, seeing which side of the parking lot is going to look better. This was the actual lighting there at the parking lot. It's very harsh, as you can see. It's this it's these fluorescent tubes, but they just don't have a nice tint. So what we did is we took my hardware softbox light. As you can see, I really liked using it on this music video. And here's my brother. He basically again held it up, sort of like in that performance shot of Lydia against the black background. Just sort of held it up in front of Jay's head and above, and we plugged it into an outlet that happened to be there, and we would just sort of just roll with it. Just the shot looks a lot better than what we originally had at the location, which is this. And then afterwards, I would sort of punch in just for a closer shot. So I have a few different versions, and we did, I think, like 3 or 4 takes. And as you can see, sometimes we had to stop in the middle of the take because cars wanted to drive by. So we would just, kindly step aside, let them drive through, and then pick up our shot and continue. This way, the security didn't get alarmed. Here's us shooting outside. It was extremely cold, as you can see by my gloves. And really, all I had with me there was just a camera and the 50mm lens, and that was it. I just kept on running around with that. and I was pulling focus just by hand. And then another thing I did use though in these shots is a reflector. So here's our makeup girl. She wasn't doing anything at the moment, so I just asked her to basically show her how to do it, and she was holding up the reflector for us, which is a good way to get the rest of the crew involved, and keep them from getting bored, while we're filming. Uh, and so we got all these shots pretty quickly outside. Found this interesting location. In this shot, we definitely needed the reflector, and that's because we're shooting straight into the sun, and as you can see that the sun they're reflecting in the water, and without the reflector, we would have just gotten a black outline of them. But with the reflector, bouncing some of that sunlight onto their faces, it just it creates a sort of a nice soft lighting. For the rest of the shots, we kind of just used real locations. So here we were inside a hospital, and again, we didn't have a permit or anything like that. So I just brought the Canon 7D with the smallest lens I could have, which we find, which was the 50 millimeter, and we just sort of walked around down the hallways, and we got whatever shots we could. I kind of beforehand I told Jay, what I wanted him to do, so when we were there, I didn't have to give him direction, and I just would just tell him, okay, just go here and do what I told you, and he would just do it, and I would record. And actually, right after this shot, we got kicked out of the hospital because the security came around. They started asking us questions, who we were, all that stuff, and then when we had a chance, we just sneaked out. And then on the way out, we also ended up getting this quick shot of him running into the emergency room, which we didn't end up using, but that's kind of how we just filmed it. It's very, very guerrilla style, just hand holding the camera and just going and trying to get whatever shots we could. And that's it. That's all the shots.